everyone, welcome back to my channel. Thanks for tuning in today. If you're new here, I make videos all about health and wellness, so hit that big subscribe button in red down below and hit the notification bell, which will let you know every time I post a new video. So in today's video, we're talking about another one of the tests I offer. This is the permeability and inflammation test. So to start off with, why would you take this test? If you have indigestion, if you get belly aches, if you have like bloating or gas, or even burping or belching can be a sign of indigestion. If you get headaches after eating, or you just feel really sleepy or really tired, these are all indicators. Maybe you ate the wrong food, or maybe you're eating healthy and you're still feeling this way. Maybe your body's not really able to handle the food that you are eating, even though it's healthy food. So this test is for you if any of those things apply. And if not, this test can still give you insight, because not all of us have symptoms that have intestinal permeability. So we look at zonulin on this test. That's the first marker. And zonulin is a protein that breaks down the tight junctions of our gut. Many people are familiar with the term leaky gut. So when I say intestinal permeability, I'm also referring to leaky gut. It's two different phrases for the same thing that's happening in your body. So we look at zonulin, and if zonulin is elevated, that tells us that you have leaky gut. And there are food particles leaking through your gut barrier. We have a tight gut barrier, or we're meant to in the beginning. And there are things that can break down our gut barrier. So instead of having these tight junctions that are side by side, the junctions widen, and you could be eating a piece of broccoli, for example. And if your gut is broken down, that broccoli can leak through, goes in this space, leak through the gut barrier. And if you had the tight junction, it would be broken down into a small micronutrient, no problem. But now that the junction is broken down and widened, that piece of broccoli is getting through the gut barrier, and your immune system, your body is attacking that piece of broccoli because it doesn't recognize it. It's not broken down into these little micronutrients. And so this causes a response. It's going to be a food sensitivity, or also food allergy, and that gets your body into this inflammatory state, which leads us to our next marker on this test, which is histamine. This is kind of this whole process that I'm talking about. So histamine is an inflammatory chemical that your body produces against foreign invaders. And histamine will send out these chemical messengers telling your body to attack a certain invader. And so, just like we get these alerts on our phones, we get alerts about weather, we get Amber Alerts, we get these different alerts. Quickly, the message is out, look for this thing, look for this weather, this storm coming. We get the message. The same thing happens in our body. Our cells get this message, look for this invader. As soon as they come in contact with that invader, say it's a piece of broccoli, it spews inflammatory chemicals over this invader, over the broccoli, and these inflammatory chemicals, they break down your gut. So we don't want to be constantly eating foods that we're sensitive to, because it's going to make our body constantly react and constantly spew these inflammatory chemicals all over our body. And this affects not just one area of the body, but the whole body. And so histamine is inflammatory. Now, if we're talking about a parasite, your body comes in contact with a parasite, spews this inflammatory chemical. That's great. We want our bodies to do that. But in our day and age, we have leaky guts, and our body is just overreacting to foods and to just general food that is not an alien, is not a foreign invader to our bodies, but our body doesn't know that. And in order to heal our food sensitivity, so you hear people going off this food, going off that food, going off this, that, and the other, and that's great. We do need to do that in order for our body to heal. But eventually, once the gut's healed, once those junctions are tightened back up, you should be able to add that food back in and have no problems. Now, there are some exceptions to that rule, and gluten is something that increases intestinal permeability or leaky gut in everybody. It doesn't matter if you're celiac, if you're sensitive to it, if you're allergic to it, or if you feel fine eating gluten, it does increase leaky gut in everybody. And so that's why you see a lot of people going gluten-free. Some people are that sick, they're at the point where they are getting sick off of gluten. Others of us, we don't have any symptoms with gluten. We think it's fine for us, but it is still increasing that intestinal permeability, which leads to nutrient deficiencies, which leads to food sensitivities, which leads to getting belly aches and having bloating every time we eat. And that's not fun. So even if you're not technically have to be gluten-free, I would encourage you as much as possible, be gluten-free if you can. I know there are lots of gluten-free products out there that aren't necessarily healthy just because they're gluten-free, but gluten, it is just something that's breaking down our body. So we want to be aware of that. So back to histamine. Histamine is this inflammatory chemical, and when our gut's broken down and when we're eating food, there can be a lot of food that's leaking through the gut barrier. And if you've heard of autoimmune, that's a disease where your body's constantly attacking itself, constantly attacking the food you're eating, and constantly creating these chemical reactions. And it's not good. It's stress on the body, it's hard on the body. And so we want to do everything we can to heal up that gut barrier. Another marker on this test is DOA. You spell it DOA. And this tells us this is an enzyme that breaks down histamine. So if you have not enough of this enzyme DOA to break down histamine, you can have symptoms mimicking an allergic reaction. You may think you have an allergy when really you just have histamine excess and not enough of that DOA enzyme to break down the histamine. And so it's very similar to an allergic reaction. So we also look at DOA. Do you have enough of this enzyme to break down the inflammatory chemicals in your body? So that is DOA for you. And we also look at the histamine to DOA ratio. So this is really looking at the gut, the inflammation, the permeability. Are there enzymes? Is your body breaking things down? All of these things, which play a huge role in so many different functions in your body. So highly recommend getting this test done. We just live in a world that promotes an inflammatory diet, and many of us have inflammation in our guts. Many of us have inflammation when we eat certain foods. There are a lot of foods readily available to us that are very inflammatory, and we really have to be mindful and watch out for these to avoid them as much as possible. So this test is a dried blood spot test. You prick your finger, you tap in a circle so that your blood is dried on this slip of paper. You send that into your lab. So I will send the test kit directly to your home. You send it into the lab, and then we can have a session where we go over your results and come up with a customized protocol for you. So if you are interested in taking this test, you can reach out to me on my website, and that is romainwell.com. I'll have it down below. And I think that's everything. So thanks so much for tuning in. If you give this video a big thumbs up, that would mean so much to me. And I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day. Bye.